Do-Rag Wisdom here, folks, and we just have 32 days left until the election, and I just hammered nails into my head. I just was put into the rack. I was just put into the Iron Maiden. I was being tortured for like 48 minutes as I watched mealy-mouthed, hypocrite, GOP all the way to the end, Sue Collins, sell out women of America, sell out our country, sell out herself. As clueless as she possibly could be, she just voted to confirm a frat house, sex-abusing, drunken creep to be, and a liar to be on the Supreme Court. She made some points that I want to just get over to let you know how I saw them. She kept mentioning presumption of innocence, that we've lost this idea that we should have the presumption of innocence in the case of Kavanaugh. Okay, I understand that. Innocent until proven guilty. But my question is, or my answer is, well, while we're trying to prove his innocence, he should not be allowed to be on the Supreme Court. I mean, he hasn't lost his lower judgeship, correct? He still has the lower judgeship. He's just not being allowed to be on the Supreme Court, where he'll have even more power. So, while we're trying to deal with his innocence, he shouldn't be allowed to be put on a Supreme Court. There's always other opportunities for the creep Trump to put such a person on there. Collins, mealy-mouthed Collins, doesn't say that. The impression I'm getting is that she is swallowing the lies. Swallowing them along party lines. I sat and listened to her. I heard all her arguments. Some, I'm not a legal scholar. She cited many cases. Doesn't change many of the situations, facts about this creep. Oh yes, presumption of innocence, presumption of innocence. She didn't go over the fact that Professor Ford, Blasey Ford, demanded an FBI investigation, took a lie detector test. On the other hand, this creep Kavanaugh refused FBI investigations, refused to take lie detector tests, or didn't even offer to do one. Susan Collins was talking about how special interests were taking down Judge Kavanaugh. That's, to me, came off exactly like when Kavanaugh was sitting there saying that special groups were left-wing groups were trying to take down his nomination, the political hit, as he kept saying. Special interest versus Kavanaugh. Susan Collins, mealy-mouthed Collins, refuses to mention the special interests, the multi-billion-dollar special right-wing interests that are backing up Kavanaugh's nomination, such as the Koch brothers. Mealy-mouthed Collins didn't mention that. So once again, I feel, as nice as this mealy-mouthed Collins, Senator Collins is, this hypocrite, sorry that she is just following her party lines. And I don't care how many cases she could cite. She didn't mention the fact that this creep was trying to deny an immigrant young woman's right to an abortion if she wanted. She doesn't mention the fact that this creep tried to help President Bush, Governor Bush, to sanction torture. She didn't mention about our privacy. Then Collins goes on to say that Charles Grassley is a wonderful character, basically. Now, I watched this creep, my friends, and let me tell you, he's not a wonderful character. And I could sit here and mock him now. But this character, yes, he was trying to hold back his rage. But in the end, the rage stayed. He's just an old, racist white man who wants to keep the status quo of so-called white rule in this country. And the way he ran this investigation, the way the Republican Party ran this investigation, denying thousands of pages of documents on this creep, whitewashing FBI investigation along with this creep Trump. Grassley. Suck Assley. Mealy mouth party line Collins said nothing about Trump's attack, Trader Trump's attack on Professor Blasey Ford and the other female accusers. This assaulter of women himself. The other day he was mocking her in Mississippi. Collins said nothing about this. Nothing. Kept saying, denying this idea he's for an imperial presidency. This and this, citing this and this. It's more complicated than that, Collins. More complicated. Yeah, case by case. Person by person. I trust the woman. I believe Dr. Ford. And I believe the other female accusers that have come forward against this creep. A tragic day in our lives if this pernicious, evil creep, Kavanaugh, this drunken frat boy creep, gets on our court. Mealy mouth, party line Collins said nothing about Kavanaugh's attack on liberals, on the left in general, on the Clintons, the conspiracy theory. I wouldn't want to sit before that judge. I want impartial justices. And I said this before. I would put middle-of-the-road justices on there. And I'm as left-wing as you can get, believe it or not. She said nothing, again, nothing about his attack, his partisan attack on his political rivals. And a justice on our Supreme Court has to be nonpartisan, has to be impartial. And Trump and Putin are trying to destroy our government, our three branches of government, and he's going to try to destroy, and he's trying to destroy our Supreme Court. And if he has his way, thanks to people like, cowards like, mealy mouthers like Sue Collins, Trump will have his way, and Putin will have his way, and we will no longer have a three-branch government. We'll have a dictator, a totalitarian government. Thank you, Susan. And finally, Collins called Kavanaugh a great public servant. And then she voted yes. What is the definition of a public service, ladies and gentlemen? Think about that for a minute. Someone who really, truly is a professional can set aside all their partisan feelings and serve honorably the public at large. I don't care what mealy mouth, party line, hypocrite Susan Collins said. She has betrayed her country today with cluelessness, with prevarication, which will turn our country backwards. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day for our country today. And hopefully by tomorrow, we could come out of this a little less unscathed in this Trump era. But I'm sorry to say that with the capitulation of that idiot Flake, he flaked on us. And now Collins, it's going to be followed up by that Republicrat Manchin. And unless other unknown Republicans, anti-Trump Republicans of good conscience come forward, this rapist, creep, presumption of innocence is going to be on our Supreme Court. The only hope we have is the Democratic caucus, the Democratic Party, with our help at the ballot box in 32 days, will get them in someplace where they can do us some good to stop the bleeding and to maybe even impeach this creep Kavanaugh and hopefully undo as much of the Trumpan destruction that we have now had to endure. Sue Collins, thumbs down, lady.